Hey guys, welcome back to Karting with Chris. Today's video is going to be the Spring 1 pre-final and final race. I combined the two races. You'll see why I did later in the video, so make sure you stick around for that final race. So today's qualifying wasn't your average qualifying, and I've got the results right here. So you can see I'm on pole position, but if you look further down, we can see Jeff and Ethan both set faster lap times than me. So Jeff was actually pole, Ethan was second, but they both failed tech due to fuel. And I was in third, so I got bumped up into first place. So in reality, I wasn't the fastest guy during qualifying, but technically due to penalties, I am on pole position. So I have never qualified in pole position in my life, so this is one to add to my resume. I have started in first before, but those times I've started in first were all in the final race. So never started on first in the pre-final. There's really not a difference, but you know, it's good to see your name on top of the list when it comes to qualifying. So knowing that Ethan and Jeff are starting near the back of the pack does change my strategy up for this race a little bit, because I do know that they set faster lap times than me in qualifying, and there's really only 13 people here today, which is really not a whole lot, so I'm a little afraid that they might catch up to me. So my plan is to go high on the tire pressures, really establish a gap at the beginning, but this will mean that my tires will fall off near the end of the race, so hopefully I will have established a big enough gap for that not to matter. So starting on pole position around this track is really easy. You just have to hold the inside line and then you're good to go. There's no one in front of you to hold you up. So my plan for the start of this race is to go really slow. Hopefully I can back everyone up behind me, they'll fight, and I can establish a gap. So I've got Chuck in third, directly behind me. He's going to push me going into turn one. I've got Colin to the right of me. He's in second, and he's going to help me out. I've talked to them before the race, so everyone's on the same plan here. So we're going really slow down the straight here. We're going to wait for the flagman to wave green, and we're still waiting, and flagman waves green. We're good to go. So right off the bat, I get a pretty good start. I've already gapped the people behind me. Going into turn one, like I said, you just hold the inside line. You're good to go. No one's in front of you. And we're able to hold the first place position. Going to three, no one lunges up me. And yeah, it's as easy as I said. So I've got an external shot of the start here, courtesy of Tim. Shout out to Tim. So you can see me on first there. I get a pretty good start. Chuck is pushing me. Colin and Chuck start battling through turn one. You can see I've already kind of gapped them. Going to turn two, again, Chuck and Colin are side by side. And you can see I've already established about a cart or two gap to Chuck behind. And then going through the chicane, this is what you want to see. You want to see everyone all jumbled up like this, so they fight and you can start to pull away. So this is the first stage of my plan here. Get a good start, and we've already have a gap to Chuck behind. But the thing about being in first place is you have no one in front of you, so you're all by yourself. And the people behind can and will work together, and two carts is faster than one. So that's why I went with the higher tire pressures. I want to have grip right out the gate, so right now I just got to put my head down, try and set those fast lap times before my tires fall off. So at this point of the race, I'm quite happy with my start. I can see the gap behind me to Chuck is not huge, but it's big enough to allow for some breathing space. But I am aware that if I make any mistake, that will bring him closer and that will bring him into slipstream range. So I don't want that to happen. I want to be able to pull away from him. Chuck is a very fast driver, so it is easier said than done. But if you can see in the top left corner, he is getting slightly closer. He's still not quite right on me, so I still have quite enough breathing room. And if Chuck does catch up to me, one thing I want him to do, as if you just saw in the top left corner, I tap my helmet, I want him to work together with me. So if he and I work together, we can pull away from the people behind, and that will just ensure that it's just a two-man battle for first instead of like 5 people battling for first. So going through turn 3 here, I can definitely tell that Chuck has caught up to me. Hopefully he works together with me. I will say, once someone has caught up to you and they are within your slipstream, it is really hard to pull away from them, just because down the straights you're punching a hole in the air that they don't have to go through, and they're just going to close up on you down the straight. So it's really hard to pull away from someone like that. You just got to hope that they make a mistake. So we're ending lap 3, we're about to start lap 4, and this was the lap that I started to notice my tires were starting to fall off. So I accidentally went a little too high on the tire pressures. I wanted my tires to fall off near the end, but they're actually falling off halfway through. So this is not good. So I gotta really hope that Chuck wants to work together with me and not him pass me and pull away from me. But going down into turn 7 here, he's figured it out. He knows I'm getting a little slower. So going to turn 7, he sends it up the inside. And I'm just going to stay behind him because I don't want to fight with him too much. I want to work together with him, try and pull away from Colin behind because he's starting to catch up, and just really hope that I can finish the race without my tires falling off too quickly. So we're behind Chuck, and we're just going to try and stay in his slipstream. Down the straights, I should be able to keep up with him, but through the corners, he might pull away from me just because his tires are probably still in good condition. But we do have Jeff behind us. Remember, he started near the back. So we do have Jeff who has caught up to us, and we can see going down the straight here, Jeff is looking for the move on me, but he doesn't quite get enough beside me to go for it. So this is telling me that I'm kind of on the back foot here. I want to stay as close to Chuck as possible so I can stay within that slipstream and just be able to hold off Jeff, because if I stay in Chuck's slipstream, it's going to make life a little harder for Jeff to pass me. So you can see Jeff is looking for the move through 3, but since I'm in Chuck's slipstream and just getting that help down the straight, it's making his life a little harder. Now, one thing to note is that wherever you finish in the pre-final, that's where you start in the final. So I'm currently in 2nd, Chuck is kind of pulling away in 1st, and I don't want to start 2nd in the pre-final. I want to start 1st or 3rd. So if I can't get 1st and Jeff wants to pass me, I'll let him because I want to start 3rd in the pre-final. So right now, I'm going to try and keep up with Chuck in case he makes a mistake and I can go for 1st. But if Jeff wants to pass me, I'm not going to fight it because I want 3rd place. So we're about to finish lap 6 and start lap 7. Usually when there's 2 laps to go, that's when you start to see passing and blocking start to happen. So going into turn 2 here, we see Jeff is going to go on our inside into turn 2. He's going to have the outside for turn 3, but I'm just going to give him 2nd position. Because like I said, I want 3rd. I don't want to end up in 2nd. So I'm going to settle for 3rd. But as you can see, I accidentally gave him a little too much room, and he's kind of pulled away. And I need his slipstream, or else Colin from behind will try and pass me. So at this point, I'm kind of freaking out. Again, my tires are just dwindling. I don't have a lot of pace through the corners. So going down into turn 1, I'm going to go defensive because I don't want Colin to go by me. Colin's not close enough through turn 1, so he doesn't make the move. Going to turn 2, Colin sends it up the inside. There's a little bit of contact made, so going into turn 3, Colin gives me the position back. He didn't want to pass me through contact or get a penalty through it. But then going through the chicane right here, I'm going to go defensive, but it wasn't enough, and Colin just pokes his nose through. And then going into 7, I'm going to track out really wide to open up the corner, try and get the cut back on Colin. Going into turns 8 and 9, I'm going to try and get him offline so I can get a better run coming out of the last couple of corners here. It's going to be a straight-up drag race to the end, but I think we're running similar gears, so we're not going to be able to pass him, and we're going to finish in 4th place. So unfortunately, just the smallest thing as tire pressures was one of the reasons I started falling back in that race. But I will say it was really good racing from everyone. I really enjoyed this race, even though I did fall down the order. But like I said at the beginning of this video, I am attaching the final race to this video. So in order for me to explain what happened in the final race, I'm gonna have to tell you in my garage. Okay, so to explain what happened before the pre-final started, I need to video and tell you here because I didn't turn on my GoPros while it happened. So basically, before you start a race, you're in the pits and you wait for the grid person to say, start your engines, and then you do your warm-up lap. So usually I'm not filming that because it's pretty boring. And so they said start your engines, and when I pulled the cord to start my engine, the revs started climbing up pretty high, and so that meant my throttle was stuck open. So the first thing I did was I took my motor. This is not my exact motor right here. This is just a spare motor I have, but I took my motor, The first thing I did was I took out the needle that goes in here, because this is the spring that does the throttle and stuff. And I took it out because I was afraid I accidentally put it in backwards. So I took it out, put it back in, made sure it was in right, and I pulled the cord again, and it started to climb up the revs again. So that was out of the equation. It wasn't in the cart. So next what I did was, this is not my cart, by the way, this is my brother's, but I'm just going to use it for as an example. But next what I did was I went through the throttle cable, tried to see if it was caught on anything, and it wasn't caught on anything, not that I could see. Keep in mind, I was in the seat while this was happening. And then what it turned out was that my throttle cable was caught on the pedal somewhere over here. Now Ben's pedal is a little bit different than mine. He's got 3 little holes right here, and you can string your throttle cable through it. Mine looks more like his brake pedal, where it's just completely smooth. So it got caught a little further down. It was pulling the throttle open. And yeah, that was not good. It took me like 5 minutes to figure this all out. I had people helping me working on the cart, trying to figure it out. And then by the time I got it figured out, I got out on track, and that's when I turned on my GoPro. So the first thing I see when I get out on track is this. This is the start of the race. So immediately I know that I can't do a warm-up lap. I got to try and catch up to these guys. Now it may sound impossible to catch up to these guys, but anything can happen. So I'm putting down my foot, pedal to the metal. I'm going to try and catch up to them. So while I'm doing that, I'd just like to give a huge shout out to everyone who helped me in the pits to try and figure out my cart problem. Huge shout out to Matt Wolf. He really helped me out. I'm sure there was other people, but I really wasn't focusing too much on other people. I was trying to fix the problem. So going down the straight here, we can see that this guy is holding a black flag. Now the sun is in my eye, so I can't really tell it's a black flag. And so I'm looking around trying to figure out, what the heck is happening. And then going down the straight here, we can see this guy is also waving a black flag. But you can see there's a little green light next to him. So I kind of thought it was a green flag because, again, the sun's in my eyes. I can't really tell what color it is. But I'm kind of skeptical because I think it is a black flag, but then again, it could be green. So going down this straight here, or going into turn 2, we can look at this guy on the left. He's pointing me into the pit. So this confirms my questions on if it's a black flag or not. And so, unfortunately, I have been disqualified from the race, or technically DNS did not start. So obviously being told to go into the pits was very frustrating. I felt like I had a lot of pace this weekend. I felt that I could have had a shot at a podium. And if you're new to this channel, I've yet to get a podium at NTK, so the podium curse lives on. Now I'd hate to end things on a bad note, so here's a video of a screaming groundhog. Isn't that just music to your ears? But that's all I'm going to have for today. If you liked the video, please consider subscribing. And if you have any questions, suggestions, or opinions, please comment below. Thank you guys for watching, and have a good day.